One of my favorite things lately has been interacting with all of the other like-minded small business owners inside of my free online community. If you want access to free resources, tools, trainings, tons of great sales advice, and just general encouragement for your business journey, then click the link in the show notes and join myself and other small business owners inside the She Sells Differently Facebook group today. I'm taking a little bit of a podcast break during the holiday season, but that doesn't mean that you have to take a break from She Sells Differently. And I am bringing you a couple of replays of my best podcast episodes from 2024. Over the holiday season, I want you to dive into these episodes and really get excited about the upcoming new year. So I hope that you enjoy these best performing episodes from this year and get excited about what's to come in 2025. And so let's assume that it costs you $5 to make a candle. You multiply that by 2 and your wholesale price should be $10. And then you multiply that by 2 and that should be your suggested retail price. And so that would be $20. So you're basically multiplying by 2 at every level to get your pricing. And I could not disagree with that pricing methodology more because you are leaving profit on the table when you strictly go by that pricing calculation. Hi, friends. Welcome to She Sells Differently, the show for aspiring women entrepreneurs looking to overcome the fear of selling and grow thriving businesses from a place of authenticity and confidence. I'm Andy Hart, and it wasn't all that long ago that I was a sales executive for a Fortune 500 company. But I knew in my heart that I was called to use my gifts for something more, something different. That's exactly why I created the She Sells Differently podcast. Each episode is going to deliver you business strategies, tools, and mindset shifts to help set you and your brand apart from our culture's expectations. It's time to elevate your sales and build a profitable, sustainable business you're proud of, one built on integrity, grace, and humility. It's time to learn how to sell differently. Over the next 4 weeks on the She Sells Differently podcast, I am going to be doing a series about wholesaling and getting your products on the shelves of retailers everywhere. Today, we are going to be talking about clarifying the basics of wholesaling your products. So the top 10 questions that I see asked about wholesaling. And then next week, we are going to dive into my 5 tips for curating a product collection for wholesaling. And then I have an amazing coaching session with one of my clients where we walk through how to optimize your Faire wholesale site. And then last, I am going to walk you through how to understand if your product-based business is ready for wholesaling. And so I hope that you stick with me over the next 4 weeks because I am going to give you a lot of information and really dive into understanding what growth through wholesaling looks like. So without further ado, we will dive into today's episode of the She Sells Differently podcast. In today's episode of the She Sells Differently podcast, I am going to dive into 10 of the most commonly asked questions about wholesaling your products and getting your products on the shelves of retailers. I see these questions pop up all the time in different groups that I'm in, threads that I see. And so I want to address these questions because as new product-based businesses are growing, they often have these questions and they want to understand when retailers approach them or they are approaching retailers, how do they navigate the world of wholesale? How do they understand terms and conditions and sound like this is not the first time they have discussed wholesale with a boutique or a store? So I am going to walk through 10 of the most commonly asked questions about wholesaling. The first question that I get all the time, and maybe this is not necessarily a question, but just a confusion among new product-based businesses when it comes to wholesale, is really understanding the difference between wholesale and consignment. I hear many business owners get these two terms mixed up often, and they think that they have a wholesale opportunity when in reality, what they have is a consignment deal. And wholesale actually involves selling your products in bulk up front to a retailer at a discounted price. And this method provides an immediate payment that allows you to manage your inventory directly. It gives you more control over your cash flow and production planning. And retailers then will turn around and sell your products at a markup, and they keep the profit from their sales, the full profit from their sales. But consignment, on the other hand, means that you provide your products to retailers and they only pay you once the products are sold. And this arrangement can definitely increase your exposure, but it also means that you are not paid until your inventory is sold. And so it has the risk of delayed payments and the potential risk that your inventory doesn't sell. So store owners often require a booth or a space rental fee, and they keep a percentage of the profit once that inventory sells. So a lot of product-based businesses will utilize consignment deals when they are first getting into selling their products with local businesses near to where they live. But what that usually means is that they have to manage the inventory themselves. They pay a booth rental fee. And that also means that they have their inventory tied up in that store. So they are risking that inventory not being sold, and they also are waiting to get paid until that inventory sells. So wholesale, on the other end, they get paid on the front end, and then the retailer turns around and sells that inventory direct to the consumer. So there is a very big difference between wholesale and consignment, and it is important for you to know the difference. Second, you may hear the term or the acronym MOQ. What does that stand for? That means minimum order quantity. And that refers to the smallest amount of product that a retailer can purchase from you as the wholesaler in a single order. So, for example, a candle product maker might set a minimum order quantity of 3 units per scent and an opening order of $150. This ensures that production costs are covered and that the product maker or the wholesaler benefits from selling in bulk. It's also a way to ensure that the retailer is really purchasing enough products to stage and display the products in the inventory well to sell through those products. The third question that I often see from new product makers just getting into wholesale is, do I charge taxes to a retailer that is purchasing wholesale from me as a product maker? Retailers who are properly registered with their state to resell products and collect sales tax will have a resale certificate and a sales tax ID number, and they are not charged sales tax when purchasing wholesale products. So no, you do not charge sales taxes to a retailer. Number 4, how do I price my products for wholesale? So I see this advice all the time that in order to get your wholesale pricing, you should take your cost of goods and multiply it by 2. And so let's assume that it costs you $5 to make a candle. You multiply that by 2, and your wholesale price should be $10. And then you multiply that by 2, and that should be your suggested retail price. And so that would be $20. So you're basically multiplying by 2 at every level to get your pricing. And I could not disagree with that pricing methodology more, because you are leaving profit on the table when you strictly go by that pricing calculation. So I want to start by saying this. Retailers will absolutely expect a minimum of a markup for your wholesale pricing at 2x to reach their suggested retail price. But that being said, I would highly recommend 1, knowing your production cost, and then 2, doing market research of what similar size and style products are selling for on the retail market. And then from there, you can really work your pricing from both a bottom up and a top down methodology. And that means from a production cost and from a market research perspective. And then you land on a more strategic price. So, for example, if I have a 4-ounce candle that cost $2 in production cost, and then based on market research, I know that I can sell these for $15, I know that my wholesale price can be $7.50. And so I now have a wholesale profit of $5.50. But had I been listening to the common advice out there, I would only be making a profit of around $2. And so that is leaving a lot of money on the table. So don't fall for that trap and do your research. Number 5, do I need a wholesale agreement in place? What is a wholesale agreement? It is an agreement that outlines the terms and conditions between the wholesaler and the retailer. The terms and conditions are always set in place by the wholesaler. So you as the product maker are setting the terms and conditions in place for your retailer. And this serves as a framework to ensure both parties understand their responsibilities and minimizes the potential conflicts and misunderstandings. And I always recommend being more firm with your terms and conditions in your wholesale agreement and working to resolve any customer issues with grace and flexibility, and then making your agreement really being the last resort. But your key components of a wholesale agreement are payment terms, the MOQ, which is your minimum order quantity, your pricing, any discounts, shipping, delivery, returns, damages, exclusivity, if you're offering that for a specific geographic area. And the wholesale agreement, it really helps protect you, your business interest, and establish clear expectations, and really helps create a strong relationship with your retailers. Number 6, what about a wholesale catalog or a line sheet? I will say this day and age, it's really not a requirement that you have a line sheet. It is helpful, especially for organic sales outreach, which I absolutely teach in my She Sells Wholesale course. And I also provide a template for your wholesale catalog. And what the catalog does is it serves as a comprehensive marketing and informational tool that showcases your products to potential retail partners in a really professional and organized manner. And it has all of your essential information in one place that helps provide an easy ordering process for your retailers. And it has a clear understanding of your product portfolio and pricing. And when the process is clear and easy for your retailers, they're going to be much more likely to do business with you. And so it is a great idea to have a wholesale catalog that when you are organically reaching out to new retailers, you can attach that to emails and showcase your product portfolio. Otherwise, you can provide a simple link to your website or to your Faire site and easily direct customers to click that link and shop your product portfolio there as well. And making sure that you have all of your terms and conditions and how to easily order from you on your website as well. Number 7 common question that I hear new product makers ask about wholesale is, how do I take payment? There are several options that you can provide your retailers for taking orders and payment. One, you can send them an invoice via QuickBooks. It's an easy option, and that is simple. And they have an easy invoicing system that allows you to remove the taxes for wholesale orders. Faire is also an option if you are selling on their marketplace, but be sure that you always provide your Faire direct link so you can avoid their commissions and fees. And then another option is setting up your own website to receive wholesale orders. I personally use and recommend Wholesale Hub, which is a Shopify app. And this allows my retailers to create their own account and submit orders directly on my website at wholesale pricing. It also integrates with QuickBooks software as well. Number 8, what is the best way to ship wholesale orders? This is a very, very common question. If you do not already have a website like Shopify set up to ship through, I use and recommend Pirate Ship. I have used this site for years and found them easy to use and navigate, and they always provide the lowest cost option for shipping your orders. Number 9, how do I prepare for a meeting with a retailer? This may be the most asked question that I see in product maker groups. And first, congrats on getting a meeting with a retailer. That's amazing. And it's important to remember that just as much as they are trying to see if your brand and your products are a right fit for their store, you are also trying to see if their store is a right fit for your brand and your products. So always be prepared with your wholesale catalog or even just a simple price list if you don't have a wholesale catalog, which you may not, and that is totally fine. I will always have samples of some of my best sellers as well. And retailers will want you to guide them on what products in your product portfolio are selling well and make recommendations based on your insider knowledge. So the best way to do that is to ask questions about their store and their brand, and then answer their questions, but also don't be afraid to tell them you will get back to them if you're not sure. It's better to think through an answer rather than promise something and then have to deliver. So absolutely come ready to make recommendations about your products But don't be afraid to tell them that you'll get back to them if you don't know the answer to a question. That being said, if the meeting goes well, do make sure that you come ready to ask for the order. Number 10, where can I find new retailers? I love this question because the options are really endless, and I love showing people how to get creative and scrappy when it comes to finding new retailers for their product-based business. First and foremost, when you are out and about in your local town, make sure that you take notice of where your products would be a good fit. Stores love local products, so don't be afraid to take them some of your best sellers to sample and introduce yourself and your brand. All it takes is 10 seconds of courage. So make sure that you are taking notice of some of your favorite stores out and about in your local town. So I hope you have learned a lot from these 10 tips on understanding wholesaling basics, common questions that I see asked all the time. And I will have another episode for you next week as we continue a series on wholesaling your products and getting your products into retailers' stores. So I will see you next week on the She Sells Differently podcast. Until then, I am cheering you on. All right, that's a wrap on today's episode of She Sells Differently. Friends, it would be a huge blessing to me if you would take 2 seconds to rate and subscribe to my podcast. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Until then, I'm cheering you on in your entrepreneurial journey. See you next time.